the dial, turn it loud. Miami's pride, make us proud. Caneswear crew, you hear the crowd. Hurricanes ain't backing down. Every play, every score, raising bets and raising roar. Rocking orange, green galore. All for one and one for four. We got FTSN, taking names, win it again. Podcast fam, till the end. Tune in, now let's begin.
Yo, what's going on, Cane fans? We are back with another daily podcast presented by Caneswear, only on FTSN. I am your host, Brad Tejeda. I got my guy Bo with me as well. We were at the big time game this past Friday. Man, this was one for the books. I kind of talked about it on Twitter the other day, man. Top 3 greatest moments in the Hard Rock Stadium, man, in my opinion. You know, this is up there with Notre Dame and Virginia Tech back to back, when we had Malik Rozier at quarterback and a few other great guys at the University of Miami, man. But what about you?
No, yeah, definitely the best game I ever been to. Man, at one point I didn't want to tell you, but I almost fainted when I was yelling. I just felt like myself starting to black out. But also, fun fact, man, Miami is undefeated when I attend the games. I've never been to a game at Hard Rock and Miami lost.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. Well, as
never lost.
As great as we thought the game was and how well we, there was a lot of times where us Cane fans, whether it was offense side of the ball, defense side of the ball, we needed to step it up. But at the end of the day, we got the job done. We got the W. Mm-hmm. But the media perspective, they feel a different way about it because we actually fell in the rankings, which we'll get to a little later. But we actually fell to number 8 while other teams who were undefeated or ranked higher fell and actually got a loss. And yet somehow we're still getting disrespected, but that's how us Miami Hurricanes fans like it, right?
Heavy as the head that wears the crown, man. When you got that U on, it's different. Nobody want to see you do good. They all want to see you, struggle. And we disappointed a lot of people Friday night.
Oh, man, many. A lot of the Florida fans that we hung out with this past weekend had some oysters. They were hurt. They were talking more about the almost and, well, y'all almost lost to Virginia Tech. And how do y'all even – get in a close game with Virginia Tech. And then we keep trying to remind them, like, didn't y'all play this Miami Hurricane team? Your exact, team, the Florida Gators, played this Miami team that you're talking crap about. And what happened in the swamp?
Exactly.
And then they want to bring back the past. And it's like, what? Why are you bringing back the past?
But then when we bring up the past, now all of a sudden it's a problem. Can't have it both ways.
Can't have it both ways. But as we know, there was a lot of things that didn't go Miami's way throughout the football game, which is why it was so close of a football game, Miami versus Virginia Tech. Us Hurricane fans, man, we were very, I think there was these last 3 or 4 games, we haven't really been challenged much. Mm-hmm. I think besides the South Florida game, that one, drive in the, I think, first or second quarter where they finally took the lead. It was the first time Miami has ever trailed in a football game. You fast forward to this football game and you go into, I think, the first or second quarter, and that was pretty much from there on to the last play of the game. Virginia Tech led this football game most of the way, and a lot of it had to do with their offensive minds and Kyron Drones. They had a running back as well, which we'll talk about and break down. But what were your overall thoughts of the game so far, Jibo?
Man, I actually loved it. I said before the game, I want to see it. I think it's going to be a battle, and I want to see how we act when, everything's not going our way. And damn sure, if everything wasn't going our way, it got so bad to where y'all started blaming me for putting that in the world, for putting that, in the air and Miami playing bad. But like I said, I wanted to see how we do when we're down when everything wasn't going good. Because as we both know in the past, 99 out of 100 times Miami loses that game, you know. But with Cam Ward, again, even though he had a bad game for his standards, that final drive, he showed you why an elite QB is an elite QB. You can have a terrible game, but that last drop to put your team in position to win and do your job and just hope the defense does theirs. That's why he's him. You know what I mean? So I loved every second of it. Not every second.
For sure. And we even had Jazz in the building sitting there with us too. So she was more anxious than both of us. I think she couldn't
me nervous.
Yeah, she couldn't take it for most of the game, man. She was definitely making us nervous at parts just watching her. But yeah, we shout out to all the Cane fans that are tuning in, viewing, listening, dropping those comments. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for us.
Please hit that.
Yes, absolutely. But to your point, Bo, you talked about the adversity and some of the things finally going our way when it comes to just the play calling making the right play calls at the right time, guys, sticking it through adversity and making like those hustle plays, which we'll break down, because there was a lot of little things that some of these players on our team that I think really got overlooked and really helped us not only stay in this ball game, but ultimately get us to victory, right? I think obviously that last play of the game, which we'll break down too, had a lot to do with it. But you talk about being on the right side of, opportunities and penalties, especially with ACC officials. I mean, this time last year, this Georgia Tech football game where Don Chaney was, it was quite evident that his elbow was down and they didn't call a fumble, which also, obviously transitioned into a big play for Georgia Tech, ultimately getting them the football game and getting them the win. We're on the opposite side of it, with this play call, which we'll kind of discuss here in a minute. But what was your first reaction of seeing the ball go down? Because we were right on that end zone, about fourth row. What was your first reaction of the ref ultimately, like right off the jump, the first like 20 seconds, he ruled it a touchdown right off from the beginning? What was your thoughts on that?
From what we were saying, when the ball was launched in the air, it was like slow. It was like one of those movies, like slow motion.
Yes.
I'm just praying, like, please. And I thought, like, if they catch it, it's gonna come from a tip drill, and somebody's just gonna be right there, But at first, I'm like, okay, there's no way. Everybody was quiet, like nobody knew what was going on. So I honestly didn't know what to think, and I'm just like, please tell me like they didn't just fuck us over. And then whoever the ref was, throws up the touchdown, so, which he could not have seen. So I don't even know why he would rule it a touchdown. Like, if anything, just go ahead and review it. But man, it was the scariest moment of my life.
And listen, I think we can all agree that was a moment that most people are going to go back and try to rewatch that many times. And I think everyone has already seen the play. But if you haven't seen the play, I mean, we might as well just go ahead and bring it up real quick. So let's go ahead and bring this up for the viewers. So you got this play right here of what seems to be what they're going to call this game the call, right? I think that's what they're calling this, the call. That's what I've been hearing on Twitter and everywhere. This game is now called the call. So you go to this play right here. I mean, listen, we talk about this all the time, but the ball is clearly moving. He comes down.
Yes.
He comes down, and the ball is clearly moving. And not only is it moving with no possession, but it's touching a Miami Hurricane defender who actually wasn't a defender. If you look really closely, 43 is Isaiah Horton, wide receiver, number 2 for the University of Miami. Yes, they put him in on jump ball situations on defense in this type of
art. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Coach Guidry talked about that in presser. But when you look at it, Isaiah Horton, clearly the ball is touching Isaiah Horton, who's also out of bounds. At that point, it's an incomplete pass.
So if the ref is on this side, what did he see that made him think, oh, this is a touchdown? You can clearly see that ball movement. Like, so why would he even call it a touchdown to begin with?
I think because to your point, he said, I mean, the ref was very close to that. I think when it first came down, all he saw was the Virginia Tech guy almost hold it as if he already had the ball secure. But then you almost have to zoom in and kind of see this, right, to know that the ball is kind of moving out. I will say this. I hate to be that referee because I know when that happened, man, you couldn't hear a pin drop in that stadium. And I think everyone had like a water bottle or like
they started getting
leftover food.
Did you
like,
see that?
Yeah, security was getting pulled around. They're like, all right, come here real quick, because they knew that if they were going to leave that call as is, man, it was going to be
trouble.
It was definitely going to be trouble. But another person that caused a lot of trouble for Miami's defense was a guy that I kind of brought up, time and time again, was Bashal Tootin, running back number 33. He led the ACC in touchdowns for a reason, and he was a guy that Lance Guidry again talked about in the presser today, that he's a guy that he's a home run threat, and he's someone that's very hard to get down. I thought first and foremost, from a fundamental standpoint on this football team, this past game was probably one of the worst we've had all season. I think that was one of the reasons why you saw a lot of big plays from Virginia Tech, especially from between Kyron Drones, who was pressured 31 of 33 times of his dropbacks and didn't get sacked once, which alone is a crazy stat. But then you have a guy in Bashal Tootin who 19 carries, 141 yards, a touchdown, had the longest play of the game with 55 yards. Those are the type of players that you knew going into a game that you had to strategize and maybe contain. And he was one. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. we still got the W. But besides Tootin, running back for Virginia Tech, who was a player that you saw pop out for Virginia?
Honestly, the people that stood out the most to me was just the quarterback and running back. I think they both played great games. But honestly, I put a lot of that on our defense, man. We missed so many tackles. I don't know how many times up in the stands, me and you kept yelling, especially Jazz kept yelling, tackle somebody, like just make the tackle. Like that could have saved us so much trouble, but not to take anything away from those dudes because they definitely did their thing. You know, they came to play. But yeah, Virginia, they got two guys with them boys. You know, I don't know how their record is bad as it is. I mean, maybe we just dropped down to their level that night, I guess.
Look, I mean, again, I talked about the word adversity a little bit before at the beginning of the show, but, you know, there's going to be those games and those moments where we're going to have to go through adversity. And I think we can all agree that when you watch college football after that Friday night, there were other teams that went through adversity. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky.
And on my parlay.
Right? Utah lost to Arizona. Michigan barely beat Minnesota. Notre Dame a couple weeks ago lost to Northern Illinois. Georgia barely beat Kentucky as well. Oregon barely beat Boise State at home. So, I mean, you guys got to understand that this week in and week out, this is college football. This is the reason why fans are so invested and why there's so much money involved in this sport, because every single game, it doesn't matter the logo, it doesn't matter the ranking, it doesn't matter the time zone. Anybody can win on any given day. And it's very hard to be consistent week in and week out and to end up pulling out a W. We've been on the opposite side of ends many times where it was that one play that caused the game and we lost. And Lance Guidry said it earlier. That Georgia Tech game that we lost, our defense played lights out, was amazing until the last drive. Well, this past Friday, our defense didn't play that well, but guess what? We got the W. Yeah. So we're going to take a W over the defense playing exceptionally well and a loss. I'm taking the W.
Yeah, I don't get people's like logic with college football being college football. Like, nobody's gonna dominate every single week. Like, even great teams, championship teams, have struggled on their way to the championship. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, I never expected Miami just to drop 50 every week and blow everybody off the doors. I know people want to say we got a weak schedule, which is cool, but I still don't expect us to blow everybody out. Like, teams are gonna show up to play. Like, these dudes are the same age. They get NIL money too. You know, They want to win too. They want to make a name for themselves too. So if that's your mindset, I mean, you get disappointed every college football season, apparently, because that happens every year, you know, every week, every year. Basketball, football, no matter the sport in college.
Facts. Well, I do want to come back and bring up a couple other things. You know, I think one thing that we don't need to overlook, there's a lot of plays in this football game that really transcended this W. First and foremost, I think we can all agree, you know, Anthony brought up a really good point about how, you know, how are we paying the, you know, Virginia Tech fans are out there saying that we're paying the refs. All right, guys, if we're paying the refs, this was, I believe, and right before the half ended, and you got two number 17s on the football field for Virginia Tech.
Look at this
on this field goal, right? This was not called.
Yeah,
right.
If we paying them, we need a little bit of money back, because I need that call if you getting paid.
Yeah. So that's one right there that they missed. Not to mention, I think one of the other things that was also missed was the holding call. I don't have that video up, but the holding call of Markel Bell that was called when Cam Ward had that touchdown to Jacoby George was something else. I will say this. Probably one of the biggest plays that was very much overlooked. Elijah Royal, probably clocking in at the fastest he's ever ran.
That boy was like Forrest Gump out there.
Look at this, guys. Saving a touchdown right here. Elijah Arroyo coming from the other side of the football field. Shout out to Elijah Russell
right there,
on hustling and making that saving tackle and almost, you know, that's 6 points right there for Virginia Tech if Elijah Arroyo doesn't stop that, right? Then on top of that, you also had great special teams performances by not only Malik Bryant, who had himself a day, our guy Andy Borgalis, who was balling as well, had a great field goal before the half as well, 56-yarder. And then you had Chris Johnson on the long return as well that really helped set things up.
Oh, yeah.
And then again, man, shout out to the big fella, Francis. Like, look at this by Francis. I mean,
come on, love that.
Having a guy like Francis Minoa just be able to get out there on the freeway and do things like this is just awesome to watch.
And they might have messed up, because I want to see a lot more of this. Get that man out in front and let him lead the way, man. Let the big boy go.
Let him lead the way. And as we know, Kane fans, another big time play. This guy, this just continues to lead the way for this team anytime he suits up in a Miami Hurricane uniform, and that's Xavier Restrepo. Shout out to X for this amazing catch on the butt right there, right? I don't even think you can translate this onto a video game. They haven't even made this in a video game yet to where you can do this. Now they're going to have to because Xavier Restrepo has done something.
No, man, this, like, when I saw him fall, I was like, oh, shit, here we go again. Because I'm thinking it's going to go to the defender because he fell. But, man, shout out to X because this is a more difficult catch than people realize. You remember the game, the Seahawks and the Patriots? I think it was Doug Baldwin or one of those guys. They fell in the ball and it got tipped up.
It was Baldwin. I think it was Baldwin.
And it fell right into his lap. I mean, which was a crazy catch, but it's easier because it falls right into his lap. Look at X. When he falls, he still goes and gets it. He throws his hands out there to go get it. Because if his hands aren't up to go grab that, it's going to that defender.
Absolutely. Man.
Shout out to X, man. That was so damn clutch.
Shout out to X, man, and shout out to the fam as well, man. They were a couple rows behind us. Yeah. Always engaged and
his
always
daddy
great
G,
people.
I like him.
Yeah, having him jump in the stands afterwards and be able to congratulate his dad and the fam, man, that's really awesome, man. Being able to see that firsthand, great stuff. Shout out to X and the Restrepo family for sure. Another great play, man, that gets overlooked. I think we gotta give a shout out to my guy Josh Dara, who I saw at the game as well. But man, you brought this up, and I didn't think about this till I saw it with you, and we kind of broke this down. This was definitely Kansas City Chiefs vibes, like you said.
Corn dog.
This was right at the end of the game to take the lead. But between Isaiah Horton and Cam Ward really selling this run play. If you look really closely, Isaiah Horton is running as if he's about to have a nice block to help set up. And the corner that had him, number 4, just gets left in the dirt.
He bites so hard.
He bites super hard where he's wide open. I mean, check this out, guys. You got to see this one more time. Coming in hard, bites, boom. 4 is already gone. See you later.
No, and I know that looks simple, but that's an elite play call at that moment right there, man.
Elite play call.
Kansas City has won 2 Super Bowls with that call right there.
Yep, for sure. And last but not least, we've been talking about elite, folks.
Come on, man.
You can't talk about elite without number 1. You're wearing the jersey, right? Like, come on, guys. Every week, this guy does Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers type plays, right? And shout out to Patrick Mahomes because he gave our boy Cam Ward a shout out during the game.
Oh yeah,
because of this play right here. But let's just break this down a few times, man. Not 1 tackle, not 2 tackles.
Come on.
I mean, cinematic. Then Riley Williams, boom. And I mean, this play, man, what a play.
I wish he would have scored off that. He deserved to score.
Just watching this play and being there live and seeing it, man, it's giving me chills just reliving it. But, you talked about you wish he scored, but Mario talked about in the presser how he gives Riley kudos because you see time and time again in these type of situations, the player will try to extend the ball with his hand, and that's usually where they lose the ball.
Yeah.
And it'll become a fumble. And that was a crucial moment right there. So shout out to Riley Williams, Cam Ward.
Awareness to keep his eyes on Cam.
Dude, his awareness is always 100, bro. Always 100. So shout out to Cam Ward. Those were a lot of hustle plays overlooked that I really feel like these fans really need to pay attention to.
That was a Heisman moment right there. Like I said, man, everything that can go wrong, going wrong in that game. Cam not having his best game.
Yep.
Us as a team not having our best game. Then on the final drive, when we need it, you pull something like that out the head, make it happen.
Anthony said, the way Ward plays the quarterback position, I see a little bit of Russell Wilson and Michael Vick. I'm going to be honest with you. Russell Wilson, unless they got the same, like, hoorah, like, team mentality, like, as far as cheering on the sideline and getting everybody together, I think that's the only way.
I think he's talking prom, Russ.
I don't know, man, because Cam Ward's on a different level to me. I would even compare Russell to him, but I definitely can see a little bit of Michael Vick. It's funny too, right? Because this is a rushing team that I don't think, before the season started, you added a Damian Martinez to pair with a Mark Fletcher, right? And we knew already with this offensive line that was coming back, we knew the running game was going to be probably what we relied on most this season.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that really.
No, we haven't.
Between the defenses we're going against, they're really game planning of stacking the box to where we really can't do that until the second half, right? Or we're going up against teams like Virginia Tech, who do have the ability in the secondary to really match up well with some of our wide receivers and cause pressure, which is, getting 4 guys to Cam Ward. and you saw that happen. But what you also saw happen was Cam Ward finally was able to improvise and really show what he could do with his legs.
Mm-hmm.
He was the second leading rusher on this football team this past game, which I don't think is something that we're used to and games before. It was always Jordan Lyle, AJ Allen, Mark Fletcher, and others that really became that second, third, fourth leading rusher. Cam Ward had 10 rushes this past game, second in rushing with 57 yards, just under 3 of Damian Martinez. So just to give you a perspective and an idea of Cam Ward could definitely use his legs when needed the most. And you saw there were a lot of opportunities where that middle of the area was wide open late in the football game, and he really took advantage of that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't really like that. I mean, I know that Cam can run, and when he does, I love how he picks his spots when he runs. You know, like most QBs that are able to run, they'll just take off first chance they get. That's usually his last choice, his last decision that he makes. But honestly, man, I just want to see more from the run game. I know we talk about it every week, and it's not even like I just know we have the talent to have an elite run game. So it like pisses me off a little bit when, like, you know, it's not happening. I don't want to see Cam Ward be one of our leading rushers. I know he can be and he's capable of being, but he doesn't need to be that. We have the pieces back there where he doesn't, you know, need to take off like that unless he's making something happen on like a third down or something.
Unfortunately, I feel like between the running backs and the offensive line, and just there are some times where when we do have the opportunity and we do create those big running plays, unfortunately, those have been also times where we get a holding penalty or a play call where it just gets overturned and having to come back. But other than that, our line still needs to get better push as far as opening the holes a little bit more. I also think our running backs can either, one, be a little bit more patient when running in the inside, or don't be as patient and bust it right to the outside and use your speed. I think I
think they're being a little too patient. I think they're tiptoeing a lot. Like hit it and go. Just go. You got some big boys in front of you. Just go.
No, for sure. And you know, Anthony also brought up this question as well. We talked to some people this past weekend about this as well. They kind of said, "Hey, you're not Georgia, you're not Bama, you're not Ohio State," and we agreed. We're not there yet.
We're the U.
We're the U, right? But I do think we're still a little bit behind those teams, not by much. But I do also think at the same time, those teams had to be tested, I think, a little bit more earlier than us so far as having to see not really their ceiling, but like they had to play almost like a guaranteed like game from start to finish almost to get out a win. And I don't think you've seen that from Miami yet, right? I think we've all can agree that Cam Ward has not had his best game yet. Our offense hasn't had his best game yet. Our running game hasn't hit its ceiling yet. Our offensive line, I don't think, hasn't played its best caliber yet. And definitely the defense. The defense has been up and down at times. I think from a running attack standpoint, we've been able to stop the run until this past weekend. But I think all in all, man, I think we're right where we should be. We're a top 10 team. There's still a lot more improvement. We'll talk about the Cal game, you know, in the next episode, probably tomorrow night when we break that down with a Cal reporter as well, which we'll get into. But college game day, first time ever going to Cal. You know, that's a whole nother story for another day. But besides Kyron Jones and Tootin, were you impressed at all with Virginia Tech's defense and their game plan, or do you just feel like our offense, it took a while for us to kind of find the rhythm?
I think those boys, I honestly think Virginia Tech came to play. I don't want to take anything away from them. They got on the football field. They did their part. It was no luck, no anything. That was just will and force, and they thought they could play with us, and they did. So I got to give them props. But on the other hand, I don't think our defense played well at all. I don't think they played what they're capable of to the potential they're capable of being. Offense did struggle. I think a lot of that had to do with the running game and just knowing, and then we just relying straight on Cam. So I don't think that helped us out much. But I say it was 50-50. You know, they played that good, and we also didn't play great, you know.
Yeah, the adjustments by Lance Guidry in the defense in the second half, once again, I think really did help us get back in the game. Obviously, Cam Ward and all the amazing plays that we showed throughout the show so far, the hustle plays, the plays that were overlooked, and obviously the great plays by Isaiah Horton at the end to help bat it down. Xavier Strecko's catch, you know, on his butt, and others really helped things. But also Lance Guidry's adjustments in the second half is something that I don't think fans need to just overlook because
yeah.
they did limit them to only 10 points in the second half, where they were really hitting on all cylinders in the first half. So kudos to those guys to really buckling down and really making some stops when needed the most. I do think there are, some concerns at certain positions. I think before the season started, that secondary safety position was a position group where we all kind of agreed, like, I don't know how we're going to feel about this. And they've been surprising us, the first 3-4 games. And now we're starting to see an ACC play. Okay, we're going to start to need either more quality productions as far as more consistency or some more bigger and better bodies, because there were some times where Mish Powell, Jadias Richards, I mean, they got to do a little bit better. I mean, I know Mish Powell really did a great job the past couple of weeks, but got to be consistent. Also, this was the most total yards I think they've had all year. They had 394 total yards the defense gave up, which was 30 more than USF the week before. So I think another thing that also gets overlooked is USF was a really physical team through the trenches, in my opinion. And you only had a 4-day, 5-day layoff from that game to Virginia Tech. Now you're on the opposite end. Now you got a longer stretch for that Cal game. You're going to be playing late at night. You're going to be making that travel, I believe, on Thursday. So you got an extra day to really settle in and get acclimated to that time zone difference. It's going to be great weather. It's going to be a pretty good matchup, which, again, like I said, we'll break down that matchup tomorrow night with someone with Cal as well. But before we kind of, end things off with this last couple minutes, Bo, was there any surprise players, stats, anything that really popped out that you feel like no one's really talked about this Virginia Tech game before we kind of transition this upcoming week to Cal?
Johnson, he didn't surprise me, but I love when he gets the ball because he's so electric. I think we need to find a way to get him ball more, whether it's on special teams or, getting him out in space with a lead block in front of him. I think he can make some things happen for us. So I did love seeing that. But honestly, I don't know if it was because I was actually at the game and I got to panic in real time, but I didn't really get to appreciate the people that were doing good. I just noticed all the bad. So we just got to get better on defense, man. But like I told you during that, I said I wanted to see a close game to see how we react to it. And I think it sends a message to Miami, like, all right, nobody's just gonna let us come and play just because we got this U on the logo or this logo on our helmet,
Yep.
I think those boys know now, and especially with us dropping in the rankings, that's letting those boys know nobody actually thinks you even deserve to be where you were in the first place. So take it. I hope they take it to heart, get better, and use it for the rest of the season.
Look, they're gonna have to get better because this is a Cal team that we're going up against. Like I said, we'll break it down later on, but this is a Cal team that I believe leads the nation in interceptions. They got 10 interceptions already so far, and they got a cornerback that's one of the best in the nation that I believe has an interception every single game so far. And Noel Williams, they're a physical defense that really attack the football, and they tackle very well, which is something that Miami didn't get the job done this past weekend or this past week on Friday against Virginia Tech. So I really think, Tim Mario's point in the presser earlier today about just the fundamentals of tackling, wrapping up, and playing your assignment. You're going to have to do that against this Cal team because they're coming off a bye. They got a quarterback that's from Columbus and Mendoza. So as y'all know, those Miami guys that get those opportunities to stick it to the U, man, they try to thrive as much as possible and have those big-time games. And Mendoza really has been performing pretty well. So besides him and the running back for Cal, I mean, they got a pretty electric offense that likes to create a lot of plays, a lot of screens. So this will be a big test for Miami. And like I said before, college game day, first time ever going to Cal. They must know something
which is crazy. Yeah. Bro. When that got announced, I was like, why are they going to Cal? But
they must know something that we don't.
Yeah. We said it feels like a trap game with that 10:30 game, all the way across country and college game day, showing up to Cal for the first time ever. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
I will say this, though.
Focus, boys. Focus.
I will say this. Something we do know. Mario said it this morning on WQAM on Joe Rose, and he tweeted it earlier today. But Ruben Bain will be back.
Oh, yes.
Bain is back. Yes. So between Bain, Barron, hopefully,
I think that pulls it together.
Hopefully Elijah Austin is healthy, ready to go. But, I mean, Barrow, Mesidor, look, this this is what we've been waiting for, right? The Greg Russo, Jalen Phillips tandem. You know, we've never been able to see something like that. Being able to get Barron and Bain and all these guys together at once. I'm liking what we're coming against with a Cal team. Like I said, they do a lot of screens and whatnot, so we're going to need guys to be playing all 10 toes down.
And make tackles. Make the damn tackle.
Absolutely. But before we get out of here, like I said, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for us. We got another show tomorrow night, 9 o'clock with the boys, Cliff, Mondo, Brett. Shout out to Brett as well and Caneswear. We were there on Friday, got some gear that we were wearing here today as well. So make sure you go check out caneswear.com. They just got in all the new Cam Ward jerseys as well. So make sure you go grab some. I'll be getting a couple more because, hey, man, Cam Ward, as y'all know, hot commodity, one of the leading candidates in the Heisman race right now. You got to make sure you support the boys as always. And, you know, also shout out to all the great people that we got to spend time with at the tailgates on Friday, man.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing but great hospitality. We had our boy Kappa Kane that not only hooked us up at the tailgate, but also hooked us up with a dope picture at the game. Shout out to Kappa. Shout out to X, you know, for help hooking us up with some drinks at the tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to X, man, and all the great fans. You know, we got to play some beer pong with some of the fans at tailgate as well.
And a big shout out to the random fan that gave us some buffalo chicken dip.
Oh,
it was the best thing I ever had in my life. So I don't know who that fan was, but next time I go back to Miami, I'm going around that area again.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We'll be back for sure. I'm not gonna lie. I'm contemplating the Florida State game.
I was looking at that today, and I was like, I just might have to slide.
Yeah, I kind of told myself no more home games until we get to the ACC championship, which I already got the room booked. But I might have to make it to that either that or the Duke game because, as y'all know, Duke's undefeated right now. You know, it could be Battle of the Cuban Bowl. They both could be undefeated. We'll see what happens.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, man. I saw a video of Manny in the locker room with a cigar, and I just thought to myself, man, that's the closest he's gotten to a real Cuban. But no, man. Hey, shout out to the Cane fans as always, man. Like I said, make sure y'all hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be here again tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, only on the FTSN network. Bo and Brad, man, we're out. Go
Appreciate
Canes.
y'all.
Yes, sir.